In the previous module, you learned how to create a line accurately by entering the coordinates of the endpoints. You also learned how to create a rectangle by entering the coordinates of 2 points, and similarly you learned how to create a circle by entering the coordinates and the radius of the circle. However, there are times that the coordinates are not available. For example, if this is the 0, 0, the coordinates of these lines are not available, or if they are available, the coordinates might not have an even number. It might have so many digits after the decimal. Sometimes it might be 3.3333 and keep going, and it is not practical to enter those numbers. So instead, there is something called Object Snap, and it is available in here. And if it's not available in this toolbar, you can activate it by clicking here, Customization, and make sure this 2D Object Snap is checked. Now let me uncheck it and check it again. So this will come back on and off if I click here. So now it's available, and I can activate it on and off. Now what it does, it will allow you to snap to certain points, and those points you can choose. I click here. So right now I have 3 points that's available: endpoint, midpoint, and center points. So if I leave it on, and I will be able to select those 3 points. Now these are not the commands for you to create a circle, create a line, create a rectangle. You still need to use line, circle, and rectangle to create the objects. Instead, this will help you to select at certain points. So for example, if I draw a line, L-I-N-E, now it asks for the first point, and because I have this on, and I have again these 3 options on, so I can select endpoint, midpoint, and center point. So now I am selecting the first point for the line. I can move to the line. Even though I'm off the line, if I click, it will be to the endpoint of that line. Similarly, right now it's the midpoint. If I click here, it will go to the midpoint of the line. And similarly, if I click here, it will go to the center point of the circle. Enter. So I created this line using this option. Now let me show you other snaps too. So I can activate the tangent command. This is one of the very popular one. So if I create a line, and now I can use this line snap to the circle, and making sure this is a line tangent to the circle. And then I can activate another one in perpendicular. So if I create a line, and I want this points and perpendicular to this line, so I have to be careful to not to select the midpoint, but to select the perpendicular. So now I am making sure this line is perpendicular to that line. So click here, enter. So this line is 90 degrees for sure. And then I can create more by, let's say, a quadrant. So I can create a line again. I can use, this is the quadrant of the circle, the quadrant of the circle. Then another one, I can use the intersection. So if I create a line again, I can say this is the intersection, and that might be an intersection too, but it's not showing because it is already an endpoint and of this line. Let me show you another line. Let me create another line like this. So I can create a line that's intersection and intersection in here. Enter. Now I can also do extension. I draw a line. I can do in here. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, now this is an extension of that line, of this line. It's extension. Now you may want to say, you know what, it's so convenient that these are very useful. So I can activate all of them. Then I don't have to activate on and off. Now the problem is, the more you have, I'm going to create a couple more lines to make it a complex drawing. So if I want to create a line, I want to go to the center point, okay? If I want to click here on the circle, it will not allow me to click the center point. It say, okay, it is the nearest. It is nearest. Yes, it is the nearest of this line, but I want to click on the circle, the center point. So by having a lot, it will confuse the computer more than it helps you. So you might not want to activate all these. Just use the one that you know for sure. Those are useful ones. For example, endpoint, midpoint, center point, they are very useful. Intersection sometimes is useful. Extension, these are useful ones, but even so, it might be too many. You can activate as you use. So this is the way to use the object snap. And still, you need to have a command active. So for example, a circle, and you want to start that circle at specific points. I want to start with this point and get a radius. So that will help me to enter the endpoint of that. Now, there's another way to enter this. So even though you're not having this on, turn it off, you can use, let's say I draw a line, you can use the shortcut key to enter the point. So for endpoints, you have to type END, end. So again, line, and then END, enter. And then now you can select only the endpoint. See this? I will not select any points in between. I only select the endpoint. And then I can say CN, center. I can select only the center point. And then midpoint, MID, enter. And so on. So you can enter them, or you can use this. Either way is fine. Now, in the textbook, there are only certain ones that you use regularly, so it is there. Some of these, it might be too long to type, so it's better off to use the command. But for the easy one, the endpoint, center point, midpoint, tangent, those are the easy ones, so you can actually type it instead of using this the manual.